Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 142 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on December 6th, 2022. Man, how you folks doing? Gearing up for Christmas? I hope you are. Yeah, I just recovered from the flu. Yeah, that's right. Remember how I was sick on the last podcast? Oh, I was sick all right. Dude, I totally should not have done that podcast. But I did. And for the past week, I have been down hard, dude. Seriously, though, this is the first day I felt good enough to do stuff. So here we are. Yeah, perfect timing, actually. It's serendipitous how that worked out. I do have some neat stuff to talk with you about today, including a new section on the website, the Brownells BRN-4, HK416 clone thing, some more listener questions, and the testing outlook for 2023. That's right. So let's get on with the show. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by High-End Armament Technology, a dealer of exactly that. That's right, high-end arms and accessories. They have significant longevity in the machine gun and NFA game, as well as significant expertise in both the procurement and operation of night vision, thermal optics, and infrared sighting systems. That's right, Robert and his crew have decades of experience and actual knowledge of the gear. It's pretty cool. So if there's a weapon system that's rare and you're having trouble locating it, or maybe if you need to get into the night vision or thermal game, maybe the transferable machine gun game, they're a great place to call. Check them out at highendarms.com. You can check them out on Instagram too at High End Arms, and they have a Facebook page, which you guessed it, is High End Arms. I hope you folks can find some good help there. If you need it, tell them Jay sent you. And also, the J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, and in turn, you cut down on errors, you simplify your silencer purchasing process. It's great. You get a money-back guarantee, no transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. Go ahead and check out the show notes with this podcast episode, and also at pewscience.com/podcast. You'll see a link to True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona. You click the link there, it'll take you to the website. That helps Pew Science when you do that. And, if you buy ammo there and you want to join their A-Zone membership to get free shipping on ammunition for an entire 12-month period, when you join, you can use code Pew Science and you get $20 off that membership. That'll help you. And also, there's a link to Magpul. You click on that one. You buy something at Magpul, you use that code PSTEN, PS10, you get $10 off your order, $100 or more. So when you're stocking up habitually with magazines like a lunatic, like I do, go ahead and use PS10. Get $10 off. Throw Pew Science some love. And increase your armament. That's right. Lastly, and most importantly, this podcast is sponsored by Pew Science, pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. That's right. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response from the entire gunshot, from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. We're the only people who do that. And by we, I mean me. And by that, I mean correctly. Pew Science is home of the Silencer Sound Standard 7 sections, the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the world. Check it out on pewscience.com. You can support this podcast, Pew Science, and all the testing I do for you by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. There's even a donate feature on the review page and the podcast page. Every little bit helps. And something that's free and doesn't cost you anything is giving this podcast the good old 5-star rating on Spotify or iTunes or everywhere you can. And together we can spread the word of suppressed small arms, normalizing their use, and hopefully arm the general populace with guns that are quieter. That would be the dream. Okay. 3 topics. I did allude to these in the introduction. First topic 1, the Brownells BRN-4. Yes. An accessible HK416? Possibly. Confusing specifications? Most definitely. Yeah. You should check out the new Pew Science Small Arms technical data page on the website for some help with that. There's a cool thing I just added this past weekend. I was
leaking brain lubricant. My nose was running, and I was sick with a flu, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to build this upper, and I'm going to put some stuff on the website. I went a little ham. Topic 2, let's keep going with listener questions from the 5th solicitation. That's right. Some more answers to your queries before the holidays. I think that'll be great. Moving to that in topic 2. And then finally, topic 3, PEW Science testing is wrapped up for 2022, and we have a lot of exciting test programs booked for the new year. Should be cool. Analysis continues, and the research effort is fueled by your support. So thank you sincerely for that, both listeners to the podcast and the PEW Science members. Okay, topic 1 at a time of 5 minutes and 46 seconds, and I feel a cough coming on, so I'm going to be right back. Okay, I'm back. Man, I'm telling you, that flu I had, or have, whatever, terrible. I've been so sick, and a cough has been also, it's like upper respiratory infection type of thing. Not cool, man. I've actually switched to bottled water. I have several here, assuming that my voice will go, which could be possible. Topic 1, the humanity. Brownells BRN-4. Oh my goodness gracious. I mentioned this platform on the previous episode. I did. Brownells, you guys know Brownells, right? So, and hey, I have no affiliation with them at all. They probably don't even know who I am. They sell gun parts and gun part accessories. They have continued their foray into the HK416 clone market. They have what they did was they released another round of parts, and this time they released complete upper assemblies with HK made handguards and uppers. Like the upper receiver and the handguards HK, right? Just like surplus, basically. They somehow got a hold of those from a supplier, whatever. So they took those and we're going to build a parts kit. And what they did was they used a lot of off-the-shelf third-party vendor parts, like the gas blocks, and they got barrels made by Faxon. Actually, it's really, they're nitride barrels. It's interesting. And I told you folks, I bought a couple of those. I bought a couple of upper kits to try out. Boy, howdy did I. I actually built one of them this past weekend. That's right. When I was down for the count. I've been down with the flu for a week, and I was stuck inside. It was rainy outside. I wanted to be hunting. I really did. I wanted to be hunting. It was excellent hunting weather. A lot of my buddies went hunting and showed me pictures of amazing bucks they killed, and I was like, oh, I'm really happy for you guys. It's not panning out for me this year. It's fine. A little bad luck. But I didn't have a lot of energy. So what a better time, than then to go ahead and organize my gun room and build a HK416 upper. Of course, I can't just rest and sleep. I have to do things. So I did that. That's right. So I actually included a photo of the upper on my on the PEW Science Anderson post-sample machine gun lower to accompany this episode. That's right, the picture and the episode post that I will make on social media. Future J will make on social media. I will post that tomorrow when I publish this podcast. I usually just pick a random photo that has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about on the podcast episode. But this time, this build just so happened to coincide with the episode. So yeah, I'm gonna actually post a meaningful photograph with the episode. And yeah, I haven't shot this upper yet. I've been too sick to go shoot. I'm feeling better today for the first time, so I might go shoot it soon, and I'll let you folks know how it runs. It, of course, will be shot on full auto, so that will be good to understand. That's the whole reason I'm building these. I would not be doing this if it weren't for machine gun. I don't really have a huge interest in that weapon system other than machine gun use. Me personally, I'm not saying that you should only want it for full auto use, but I'm saying I wanted it for full auto use. I just wanted to see. And it's a thing that I wanted to check out. I mean, I'm probably going to have some semi-auto fun with it too and understand it more, but this particular upper with the 10.4, I was curious. So what I did, I put the 10.4 barrel from Faxon. It's not labeled Faxon, but it's the Brownells barrel. I put that on the upper, and the handguard that came with one of the 14.5 or 16-inch barrel kits. That's right, because I bought 2 kits, right? I bought a 14.5 and a 16. Those kits come with barrels and gas blocks that go together. Okay, so both gas blocks are the same for the 14.5 and the 16-inch barrels. And those 14.5 and 16-inch barrels also have the same gas port orifice size. That's right. Funny enough how that works. And with regard to the gas blocks, the 14.5 and 16-inch barrel gas blocks are identical. So if you order those 2 kits, the gas blocks will be the same in both kits. Okay? And now if that seems a little strange to you, it was strange to me too. For me, I didn't understand why they would make the ports identical when the dwell time on the barrels was different. I didn't understand that. But hey, I'm not the weapon designer, and maybe they know something I don't. Maybe they know something I don't. Now, the thing that is really interesting is that the gas port on the 10.4-inch barrel is only a fraction of a millimeter bigger than the port on the 14.5 and 16. Isn't that? It's weird, right? It's basically the same size. It's 1,000th. It's 1,000th of an inch bigger. So basically the same. Within manufacturing tolerance, sometimes, depending on who's manufacturing, right? Whatever they're drilling with. So, and dwell time super short on the 10.4. They're using the same gas port size. I'm like, that's interesting. So all the systems, and when I say systems, I mean the barrel lengths. All 3 barrel lengths, 10.4, 14.5, and 16, they all have the same gas system length, right? Because it's a piston system with a standard piston length, right? So as the barrel gets longer, your dwell time gets longer, not your gas system. You feel me? Makes sense, right? Okay. Just so you guys understand that. Like your dwell time's increasing because the time for which the barrel's being pushed through the barrel past the gas port, but before it exits the muzzle, that's increasing with each barrel length increase. But the gas system length is fixed because the gas port is at the same distance from the upper receiver in each barrel. Got me? Okay. Because the piston is the same length. Okay. It's like a scar. Just like a scar. Okay. So you might, you're thinking about that with this system, and you ask yourself, well, how could that possibly work? Right. Like, what in tarnation? You ask, confused as you stare at the BRN-4 page on Brownells before you buy anything. Then realize the kits are out of stock anyway, so you can't buy them. They are, though, so you can't buy them anymore. Or maybe you can. I don't know. I think they're out of stock. I think this works because HK, through revisions, decided that venting of the gas block was the best way to manage impulse into the piston. I haven't spoken with HK about this, but from what I gather in my research so far, in my observations and my measurements I've performed, I think that's what they're doing. So as they're lengthening the dwell time, when they lengthen the barrel, they enlarge the vent orifice in the gas block. Okay? So on the 10.4-inch barrel gas block, you get a vent that's close to a millimeter in diameter. It's close. I actually measured it. It's actually 0.94 millimeters in diameter. Now, when you move to 14.5 and move to the 14.5 and the 16-inch barrel, Brownells gives you a block with a 1.7 millimeter diameter port. That's 70% bigger port in diameter. Okay. So what are they doing? Well, they're dumping more gas faster as they increase the dwell time, aren't they? And why? Why are they doing that? Why? Well, they what do they have to do to keep this weapon operating within the given parameters? They have to shorten the duration of the pressure curve acting on the piston. Why? Because their given duration is climbing directly proportional to dwell time, isn't it? So they have to counteract that duration lengthening they have to cut the tail off of their pressure curve, and they got to do that by venting. Does that make sense? It should. Okay, go back to how a HK416 piston system works. Okay, this is one I wish I had a whiteboard to show you, but cross that bridge later. So they do that. They do it to lower the effective impulse. That's right. What's impulse? Area under the pressure time curve, as you're very familiar with in external PEW Science system measurements of sound pressure. The same here, just internal. Just different locations, same physics, okay? So they do this to lower impulse. And what does that do? What do I tell you the impulse at your ear is? It's momentum transfer potential, right? Why do you lower the impulse in a piston system or any gas-operated system? Well, you lower the gas momentum transfer to the carrier. Less impulse, less potential for momentum transfer. That's right. Same physics, different environment. You're lowering the gas momentum transfer to the carrier. Why? To reduce the velocity of the carrier. Why? To reduce the chance of breaking your gun. That's right. So that's how an HK416 gas system works. Now, it's super confusing. It can be if you're new to this, or I just said a lot of numbers, millimeters and inches, and you're like, oh my God, what is going on? All I want is an HK416. Jake, tell me how to be a Navy SEAL. Okay, first of all, you want to be a Navy SEAL? First step, your brain's got to be wired a certain way. You're either born with that or you're not. Second step, you can't be a pussy. Third step, you got to work hard. You got to stay in school. You got to take your vitamins, say your prayers, drink your milk, Hulkamaniacs, and you too can be Navy SEAL. But, or you can just get an HK416 and a scar. Look at me. I'm kidding. Stolen valor. No, I was a little bit confused myself with this HK416 system. So I made a spreadsheet to track it. I did. And I added another complication. Adjustable gas blocks. That's right. Because I mean, this wouldn't be PEW Science if we weren't messing with adjustable gas blocks. What? I'm gonna stick with the factory system. What? I'm gonna leave the car stock. Take off your catalytic converters and put a blower on your Corvette. Be a man. No, adjustable gas blocks. That's right. Turns out the Norwegian Army was using the HK416 and needed to control gas impulse for silencer use. I'm probably butchering that, but that's it sounds good. I'm going to say it. Early HK actually made early iterations of adjustable gas blocks for the HK416. These are not the same as the latest A5 system that they had a while back. I don't know if A7 might be out now. Who knows? Whatever A5 is with the knob that comes out axially parallel above the barrel, it's not like that. These versions for the Norwegian Army, they just from the side, orthogonal to the barrel on the block. And so what I did was I bought 2 surplus blocks. I did. And you guessed it, one is for 10.4 inch barrels and the other one's for the 14.5 or 16 or whatever. You see a pattern now, what they're doing? And this is HK. This isn't even Brownells, you see. So I have those 2 blocks. And so what did I do when I got those? Well, I took my pin gauges, my calibrated pin gauges, and I measured those 2. That's right. I measured them too. And because they're also, they came disassembled. So it was really easy to measure everything. You know, I measured the gas block port. I measured the 2 ports in each of the adjustment shaft of the little adjustment shaft in each adjustable gas block, because there's 2 settings on each block. That means there's 2 holes drilled to the center of those things. I measured that. I measured the gas block vents on the gas blocks, just like I did on the fixed Brownells gas block, the fixed vent gas, or the fixed non-adjustable vented gas blocks from Brownells. That's a mouthful. So I measured those 2. I measured everything. I measured everything about those blocks, those gas blocks. That would be 4 gas blocks total. It would be the 14.5 or 16 inch fixed vent gas block from Brownells, the 10.4 barrel gas block from Brownells that you can buy on their website separate from the kits, and the 2 adjustable gas blocks that I bought, the 10.4 block and the 14.5 block, or 14.5 16 block. Now, I put all that information in my spreadsheet. I put it in there. I got to keep track. This is how I learn stuff. I'm when I go to a new system, I'm I cannot remember all this. I'm going to write it all down. I'm going to put it all in a spreadsheet. And what I like to do with data is when I get the data, I put it down and I look at it so I can start to recognize patterns and interpret it. It's what we call data reduction in basic data collection methodology. Okay, so I did that. Then I formatted the spreadsheet and I color-coded it and I put it on my website. That's right. On pewscience.com right now, I'm going to open the browser. And I did this for you guys. I did it because I thought when I looked at my spreadsheet, I thought it was very useful. And so I was you know what? I bet you other people will think it's useful too. So what I did, and it was the weekend and I had a little bit of time and I was sick, and it's really fast to add a page to the website, especially when it's something just simple like this. And so what I did, if you go to pewscience.com, and my computer is now, I do this when I'm using my computer, it'll start a cooling cycle, because I use this ridiculous computer that it's almost sounds like a space shuttle. No, not a space shuttle. Those don't work anymore. If you go to pewscience.com, hold on. I told my computer to stop that. You know, you always say that computers are only as smart as the user. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I think I fixed that technical issue. Let me make sure. It is happening again. Okay. I think it's working now. So if you go to pewscience.com and you hover over services and support, and you can scroll down or pan down there, and there's a small arms technical data entry there now. You see? It's also on the sidebar of the website under the Silencer Sound Standard section. This is something kind of separate from the standard. I might add it to the standard later as another section. It's just not something. I think it's more of a trial version, a trial run right now, and this is public for everybody. You don't have to be logged in to use it. So if you click on small arms technical data there on the website, what you'll see is a page will come up. It says Pew Science Small Arms Technical Data at the top, and it says that this is a placeholder page for small arms technical data collected by Pew Science for the community. It says data on this page may appear elsewhere. All data provided on this page is physically measured and or quantified by Pew Science unless otherwise noted. Okay, and it tells you to enjoy, because you should enjoy it. And the reason I say that, this kind of goes back to one of the conversations I had with you last time. One of the things I talked with you about is there was a really difficult time finding good information about this system online, and no one else had it. So, I looked at the technical data package of the HK MR223 and some other stuff, and I was I'm going to measure all of this information from the Brownells stuff and from the barrels and the gas box, and I'm going to put it on the website. So that's where this is, and now you can use it too. So I put my little spreadsheet on as a picture there on the page, and also I took photos, I took the photos that were on the website from which I bought the adjustable gas box made by HK. They were disassembled. They had some, pretty simple photos of those. I just took those photos and I stuck them right there onto the website so you can see them too. I think that will help people understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the adjustable gas box. That's just a simple example for you there of those, so people know what those are. There's a Gen 1 and a Gen 2, all that good stuff. And the only difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2 is the shape of the adjustment knob is a little different. I think one of them theoretically was supposed to stay closed easier or something. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look at functionality and reliability or anything like that, but these seem to be the functionality seems to be almost the same under hard use. I don't know if they change or not, but you can actually see in those pictures the orifice in the shaft. In each shaft, there's a couple of orifice holes. You can see those that I measured with pin gauges, so that's there. Okay. Now in that table, in that color-coded table, that I put on this page, and by the way, this is pewscience.com/techdata. That's the URL. It's pewscience.com/techdata, TECHDATA. pewscience.com/techdata. When you look at this spreadsheet here, you will see all the gas port size possibilities for the Brownells BRN-4 system. If you use the Brownells gas blocks, or you use the surplus HK gas blocks, this will give you all of the possible gas port size combinations you may run into. Okay? Now, if I get a hold of other HK adjustable gas blocks or third-party gas blocks, I will measure them too and update the table. If I am able to measure factory HK barrel gas ports, I'll put those in here too. If I'm able to measure other aftermarket HK416 gas ports, like the Nefarious Arms and other folks that I've read that are making those, I don't know if they're expensive. They might be expensive. Those HK416 clone barrels, I'm happy to put that in there too. But I am very hesitant to put any information on here that I do not measure myself, because I do not trust people's measurements typically, because I don't know what kind of tools they're using. I don't know what kind of apparatus they're using. And I know that any information I put on my website, I have vetted. And it's up to my standards, and that's why you see on pewscience.com, and nothing I put on my website is ever going to be not in accordance with my standards. Okay? So that's hey, I'm king of this, and this is what I say. This is my decree. Okay, you got a problem with that? Well, take it up with someone else, man. You're not going to get far. So, like I said, I'll update it if I need to. Now, that's all I have on that page for now. It's not a huge addition to the website, but it is a addition. And right now on the upper that I have, and I have this gun sitting right next to me here. I got a grip pod on it, obviously, because it's like the perfect gun for a grip pod. There's an HK quad rail on it. That means grip pod. And it's sitting right there on the floor with a silencer on it. I have a prototype CGS silencer on the gun right now. It's a silencer that I would personally like to use for my initial trials with this gun, to understand how this adjustable gas block is really going to work. I installed the adjustable gas block on this 10.4 inch barrel. This is my upper. I will let you know how that goes. Keep in mind, I have many silencers in the PEW Science inventory, including the Huxworks Flow 556K. And that silencer will probably not influence the operation of the weapon. From what we understand of the physics of the Flow 556K, what we measured in the tests, in the PEW Science test data. If you haven't seen that test data from PEW Science, please look in the Silencer Sound Standard in Section 6. It's very easy to find. You can go to the ranking section at pewscience.com/rankings, and you can easily find the Huxworks data. You will see the flow rate is very high in the measurements, and you will see that in the analysis, and you will see that it probably does not influence the operation of the weapon significantly. You will note, or you should note, that when you look at this PEW Science Small Arms Technical Data page, the pewscience.com/techdata, when you look at that page and you look at that color-coded Excel table I put there, you'll note that the adjustable gas block for the 10.4 inch barrel automatically reduces your flow area by default, doesn't it? Because its adjustment shaft ports, it has two, right? Your original gas port size is 060, which is like a little bit over 1.5 millimeters. Well, the adjustment shafts in the adjustable gas block are 047 and 051, which is like 1.2 and 1.3 millimeters. So you're taking the 1.5 millimeter gas port on the barrel, and you're choking it to either 1.2 or 1.3. Understand? So those are your options for the gas port orifice adjustment with a 10.4 inch barrel block. Okay, it's interesting. It's interesting. Now, what else does that block do, that adjustable gas block? Well, not only does it give you those options to restrict your flow, well, it's actually mandatory that you restrict your flow. It just gives you two options to decide how much you want to restrict it. The other thing it does, it actually increases your vent area. It increases the diameter of your vent to 1.5 millimeters. That's a 50% increase in diameter. And that's a big deal because area is going to increase with the square of the diameter, right? Pi d squared over 4, right? Is the area of a circle. Okay. So in the fully open position, again, in the fully open position, the gas port still doesn't get to the full barrel port size because it's not fully open. You only have two settings. You understand? So I have no idea what's going to happen because your vent area is bigger and you're restricting flow. So this is weird. And I never shot it with the fixed block that I bought. And by the way, putting these gas blocks on is kind of a pain in the butt because the roll pins are big and tight. And it's just... it was just a time, dude, putting these together. But you just got to make sure fixtures are if you don't know what you're doing, you've never built an AR, certainly don't start with a 416. Or maybe you should. I mean, it's just like really pay attention, know how to use tools. Don't break stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be really fun to understand it. I do realize this is a little bit of a niche case because not everyone has these HK adjustable gas blocks, but there's no way on God's green earth I was going to start off without one because I want to see how it runs. And if I can't get it to run how I want to run it, well, I have this table. So I'm going to know, okay, well, if I go to the Brownells block, I'm going to be letting more gas in the barrel. I'm sorry. I'm going to be letting more gas out of the barrel into the piston block, and I'm going to be venting less. So automatically, my gun's going to overfunction compared to the adjustable gas block. So the adjustable gas block, by default, was going to tame this. It's got to. I'm letting less gas in, and I'm venting more. So no matter what, that HK adjustable gas block has to result in less severe kinematics. It has to. But the gun's going to run slower and softer with this adjustable gas block. It has to, based on what I see. Based on what I see in these measurements, it's got to. Unless I'm grossly misunderstanding the dynamics of the weapon, which is definitely possible. And you know what's interesting? I love this experimentation, and what it does is it reminds me of the SCAR project is what it does. You know, in a way, piston guns have some neat features, and venting up front is one of those features that I think is really neat. Now, is that quiet? Well, no, probably not. But this is not a stealth weapon, is it? No. Now, does the vent serve other uses that I think are really cool? It does, physically, absolutely. You can vent a lot of gases out of there, and you can keep stuff cleaner with the piston. It's actually really cool. I mean, that's one of the benefits of the SCAR system. This is one of the reasons the SCAR is so reliable. The SCAR gas system. Because of the way it vents. That's right. SCARs are awesome. And the HK416 might be too. I don't know. That's why I'm learning it. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So please go check out pewscience.com/techdata. I will put more things on that part of the website as I go. I did want a place where I could share hard-to-find information, and now it is there for you. And who knows? Who knows what it'll turn into? Maybe it'll evolve. I've gotten a lot of good feedback. Some folks are like, oh, man, you should make like a Wikipedia for gunsmiths. And I was like, that sounds like a gigantic undertaking. But hey, I made PEW Science. I could make that too. I don't know. Maybe it could be cool. I really love good, curated information. I'm happy to be the one-stop shop for silencer technical data and technical performance data. And I would certainly be happy to participate in being the one-stop shop for other technical data that we know and can guarantee is correct. Because as I say in the Science or Sound Standard, technically correct data is the best type of correct. Could be awesome. Okay. Topic 2. Close this. Okay. Topic 2 at a time of 35 minutes and 12 seconds. Okay, let me get a drink of water. 1 second, guys. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. That HK416, it looks cool. Someday I guess we could talk about the history of it. It would be really cool to have someone from HK on to talk about that. You guys can read about it, why they made it and, how it progressed. And now, like, the direct impingement systems are a little better too. So maybe they don't need the HK416 as much. And the HK416 is sort of heavy, but it is super reliable. I don't know. Some of these piston guns really intrigue me. Traditionally, I haven't really been a piston guy just because I know that you don't need a piston for the stoner system to work. But I do respect what the SCAR has done, and I am really interested to see how the HK416 does. And obviously, there's other AR systems that we can look at with piston systems and lineage, but I just thought that was interesting, so I hope you got good information out of that topic. And so for topic 2, and I'll keep you updated on that. And for topic 2, I would like to keep going with listener questions. That's right, from the 5th solicitation. Some more answers to your queries. I would like to give you more of those. I'd like to give you more of those before the holidays, and people have really been liking this. I think there's some good ones in here. I do get good feedback. I think this is the 3rd episode in a row that I've done. Is that true? The 3rd episode? Let me click. If you go to the website, pewscience.com/podcast, you can look at the listener questions tag. I clicked on that. See 141, 140, and then 132 before that. So it looks like we finished up the 4th solicitation in episode 132, and we picked up, I did another solicitation. 8 episodes later, we started it in 140. And now we did that 141, and now this is episode 142. So yeah, third episode in a row, and that's got to be a record. I never do that many in a row, so could be cool. Let's open our spreadsheet. Okay, and I am kind of still stopped up, and I can barely hear myself in my headphones, so I hope I don't sound like a lunatic. Okay, looking at these, where did we leave off? Okay, we have quite a lot of questions in here. This is a little intimidating. Awesome. Okay, we left last time on listener questions. We left off on global question 298, sub-question 7 of the 5th solicitation. That question was pie or cake, and I let the later gentleman know that it depends on the occasion. So if you would like to know more about my dessert preference in pie or cake form, please tune into the previous episode in which I answer that question. Okay, question 299, sub-question 8. What is your squat, bench, and deadlift max? Man, you got to hit me when I'm down, right? I'm all sick. No, that's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked about. I love talking about powerlifting. I talk about powerlifting all day. In official competition, raw, I could squat around 500. I think I benched around 350, deadlifted around 590 or so. I never hit 600 on deadlift. I'm talking about pounds. These are pounds, obviously. And that was at a body weight. That was a competition body weight. This is in competition. So this is like official competition, body weight of 205 pounds, with a 2-hour weigh-in. That means you have to hit that. This is drug tested, first of all. Second of all, you have to hit that body weight 2 hours before the lifting starts for the competition. So it's not like you're in those powerlifting federations where you can weigh in 24 hours before the competition and then you can like rehydrate with an IV and something. No. This was real. This is real body weight. This is like you weigh in 2 hours before and you have to be ready to hit the platform when they say go. You understand? So that's actual weight. That's actual body weight. And now look, I could do a water cut and I could get Pedialyte in my system and salt and stuff. And one of my favorite things to do post weigh-in in competition was Pedialyte plus I found out the type of Pringles that had the most sodium content. I believe it was barbecue flavor. Barbecue flavor Pringles are not my favorite Pringles, but I think they had the highest sodium content. And so that's what I did to get the sodium bloat in those 2 hours when it was time to be ultra aggressive. And, because of my training cycle, like when you have a training cycle for powerlifting, you time it so that you want to peak right at competition of your peak strength. This is not bodybuilding, guys. This is like, the purpose of powerlifting is to lift the most weight possible. Like, that's the object of the game. So you want to be like, there's certain things you do to try to maximize like natural powerlifting. And, even the non-tested federations have similar philosophies where like there's certain things you do in your training cycle to like maximize your propensity to lift the most weight that day, because that's all that matters. Nothing matters in the gym. All that matters is in the competition, and that's why I'm giving you competition lifts, because that's what you answer the question. Anyone can talk about, I did this and that, but unless it's in competition, it's not real. Okay? Doesn't matter. It's all make-believe. You can do you doing something in the gym is all well and good. I don't care if you have it on video. You do in the competition. That's what matters. That's a real lift. Okay, none of this gym lift stuff. Now, if you want to say what's your best gym lift, okay, cool. But what can you do under pressure in strict judging conditions, drug tested, with at actual body weight? That's what powerlifters really care about. The ones that actually compete, right? So, and in my raw powerlifting career, and I'm not nearly. I mean, that was a long time ago, and there's like, dude, I'm not that strong. But during my raw powerlifting career, I lifted in both first in the USAPL it was 82.5 kilogram weight class, and then they changed it back to 83 kilogram weight class. And I also lifted in the 93 kilogram weight class. And I, of course, was strongest in the 93 kilogram weight class. That's right. I did some equipped lifting too. I did an equipped bench press competition once. It was U.S. Bench Nationals. It's a national competition. It was actually held here in the United States. I don't remember what I benched. I couldn't tell you. That was a long time ago. It was around 400 pounds. It was equipped, so it was a really loose shirt. I don't know if you guys know about equipped powerlifting. It's a completely different thing. It was a really loose shirt. My coach let me borrow it. It was one of his old shirts. My coach is the great Gene Bell, world famous powerlifter. He squatted 843 pounds at a body weight of 181 in the 80s, like televised on the Hawaii Budweiser record breaker meet. He lifted alongside Steve Machine Gun Goggins, also another great lifter. So I actually lifted in one of Gene Bell's old bench press shirts in my first national powerlifting competition. How crazy is that, dude? And I had cut weight to try to like do something crazy, and like that was stupid because the shirt was even looser that day. That's not good for you. I didn't bloat enough, but it was fun. I didn't bomb out, so that's cool, right? So that was fun. Also, I'm 6 feet tall, so keep that in mind. Like for someone that's 205 pounds or 183, 181 pounds, I'm not really built to be a powerlifter, right? I'm more built to be a bodybuilder. I don't really have a great powerlifting physique. My leverages aren't ideal, but it's super fun. I love it. So yeah, but I'm a pretty good conventional deadlifter though. Sometimes tall and lanky people like me are good deadlifters, and that's I am pretty good at that. I have never missed a squat in competition ever. I've never missed a squat attempt in competition, and I think that's because squat was always my weakest lift because of my leverages, and so and it is the lift I always trained first because I was so paranoid about being bad at it. So I think like I was always on my mental game the strongest with squat, and it's the first lift of the competition. So I think that's why I never missed a squat in competition, because I was just so paranoid about sucking. You know what I mean? I don't know if that applies to like other sports, but it probably does. So yeah. Nowadays I I had some injuries and stuff, never in competition, just actually outside I just had some injuries, and so there was that, and then, get older, and then not placing as much a priority on lifting. Really, I think the biggest thing, one was a car accident right before I started PEW Science. That was actually when I coded PewSoft, when I was like recovering from a concussion, is when I coded PewSoft, and then the dedication to building the PEW Science business actually put powerlifting as something for the first time in my adult life to be secondary. And so I'm not as strong right now, but I am looking to get more swole, and it's important to be swole. Very important. I am getting older. It's not as easy to allocate the time with my schedule, but as I learned as I got swole in the first place, it is all about choices, and you must make time. No one is going to make it for you. It's all about what you think is important. So I am working on being more strict with my time. So here we are. Thank you for the question. And that's probably a lot more than you thought you were going to get, but I hope that helps you with your own lifting. Question 300. How cool is that, dude? We just hit question 300 officially. How does that feel? Who else has answered 300 listener questions? Probably like that old radio show called Car Talk, right? That was a cool show. Any firearms podcast though? No way, dude. No freaking way. You know this podcast is the only one doing this in the firearm community, right? There's got to be. There's no way anyone's answered 300. We can prove it too. Local question number 9. Vibrations and frequency. What about designing a suppressor around this topic? It's interesting. Let me get a drink of water. Hold on a second. How are we doing on time before I decide how much detail to give? 46 minutes. We got plenty of time. Okay. That's an interesting question. It's an interesting technical question. Vibrations and frequency, and what about designing a suppressor around the topic? It's an interesting way to ask that question. I think I can touch on that. So, vibrations? Not so much. In the way one would think. But, 1 second. Excuse me. The way one would think that vibrations, I think, in the strict sense of the word, yeah, sure. But I think the frequency of the gas venting from the silencer is something that folks, it's something for folks to look at when engineering a system. I think more specifically, the frequency response of the human inner ear, how your ear responds to that pressure input in the frequency domain. I think that's something that PEW Science analyzes. That's something that I analyze when I'm computing the suppression rating. It's part of signature analysis of transients. Like, it's something that most analysts do. I think it's important to do that. It's something that's already incorporated into the Silencer Sound Standard. It's something I evaluate now. So I'm doing this already. PEW Science R&D clients are already using this information in design. So I think it's something that will continue. People talk about tone and everything like that. That's already, PEW Science already takes that into account. It's already it's inherent to the way the silencer sounds. It's inherent to the way your ear responds, and it's inherent to the suppression rating. If it sounds pleasing, it's probably going to have a higher rating. Not always, but because because pleasing is subjective, but a lot of the times the suppression rating is going to reflect it. And for more information on that, remember, we have PEW Science member research supplements, okay? And those are really powerful. I know there's not a ton of them, but there's enough for you to get this. So go check those out, okay? Hope that helps you. Thank you for the question, okay? Now, I would also add, I think that's something that's, PEW Science R&D clients are already using that. I think they're probably going to continue using it. And it's probably going to get even more forceful as we continue, okay? So again, thanks for the question, but I hope that specifically addresses because your specific question was, what about designing a suppressor around the topic? And short answer is yes. Yes. Okay. Question 301, sub-question 10. Any plans to test the Thunder Beast Fly 45? Was told it should be out mid-December. Love you. Oh, and they made a little emoji. Love you too, sir, ma'am. Platonically as a friend. Yeah, good question. Not currently. I've heard that Thunder Beast made the Fly 9 silencer. So, man, I think it'd be cool to test that one. I have not spoken with many people who have shot these Thunder Beast pistol silencers. I would guess that's probably because there's not a significant proliferation yet in the market. But yeah, I think it would be neat to test them. I think it would be cool. It'll be interesting to see. You know what? Technically, this is one of my curiosities. It'll be interesting to see how Thunder Beast tried to tackle the flow rate dependent nature of shooter's ear suppression. Specifically on centerfire pistols, because we know. PEW Science has a lot of research on this. We know what happens when you don't have adequate flow rate on a pistol. With a pistol silencer on a pistol, we know what happens. So it's really going to be important. It's definitely important to think about flow rate, and that's really not something I've seen a lot of on the Thunder Beast the public offerings from Thunder Beast. I haven't seen a lot of that. So I'm excited to see if they did something different in their pistol silencers. We've all seen how publicly they put their test data. They don't test. They test they test the rudimentary way, which is fine. That works for them. They like doing that. More power to them. They don't want to do holistic signature analysis. They don't have to. That's a free country. So given that, what we know about how they develop silencers and they show it publicly, it will be interesting to see what they came up with in this actually increasingly crowded space of 9mm pistol silencers or 40 and 45 caliber pistol silencers that try to reduce the sound signature of the shooter's ear. Because I don't know if you guys saw this, but today FN announced a pistol silencer. So there are some big players hitting the market right now. So you got to come. You're going to enter that market. You got to come to play. So we'll see, man. I bet. You know what I bet you? I bet you that Thunder Beast pistol silencer is light, dude. Their silencers are always super light, like they usually are. They're pretty lightweight. So I bet you their silencer's lightweight, and I bet you that's cool. So I am super interested in that. I would love to test it. It'd be awesome. Thank you for the question. Global question 302, sub-question 11. As technology improves and size and weight are reduced, do you think we will see good 9mm suppressors no longer requiring boosters for pistols? How topical is that one? Excuse me, 1 second. Isn't that funny? And I think I said this last time. I literally answer these questions in the order received. I transcribe them in chronological order. Isn't that crazy? How someone and these are separate people asking these questions. It's so crazy. And it's it's very topical, sir, ma'am. It's a very topical question because that fits right in with the one we just talked about, with regard to weight that I just mentioned. And, honestly, your question, this has already been a thing for over a decade. There are silencers in existence that are light enough such that they don't influence the mass distribution of the weapon system enough, and really they can enable pistol cycling without having to decouple their inertia from the system. There are silencers that are light enough to work without boosters. There are, or inertial decouplers. There are. Okay, and now remember episode 136 when I went over this and how this works. If you haven't heard that discussion, please. Episode 130. I can't remember. Let me go to the website real quick. PewScience.com. Podcast. 130. I think it's 136. Topic. Yeah. Episode 136, topic 3. I think I talked for 45 minutes or more. About 45 minutes or so on that topic. So if you want to hear me go on and on about how a piston system works in a silencer, please listen to that episode. So let me get back to your question. You're asking, as technology improves and you make these things smaller and lighter, can we start to not use the pistons? And yeah, we've already done that in the history. There's already now. Will that occur with even quieter and newer and more advanced technologies in the future? Yeah, probably, dude, especially with 3D printing, right? I can tell you it's already happening. I know it's happening. So stay tuned for that, really. I mean, and now as a consumer, maybe you're just going to see some of it. I can tell you there's stuff right now that exists, dude, that I've seen. Now, I'll say something else. Avoiding the piston assembly completely and not having an inertial decoupler in your pistol silencer on a pistol, avoiding that completely, that's actually something that would boost the reliability of a suppressed pistol system by a significant amount, dude. A lot of piston assemblies fail. That's actually, me personally, in my own testing, that's a failure point that I've seen most often. In my testing, the thing that fails the most often is the piston assembly. That's in my I'm not speaking for anyone else but me. Okay? Hope that answers your questions. Question 303, local question number 12. 45 ACP pistol test hosts, USP 45 Tactical, Mark 23, or another platform with standard threads, such as the FNX 45 Tactical. Thank you for the question, sir, ma'am. Most likely it's going to be the FNX 45 Tactical. PEW Science has already done internal testing with that weapon. I actually tested with the FNX 45 Tactical before I launched the Silencer Sound Standard. I have tested a lot of cartridges that you've never even seen on the website. A lot of people think that all I've tested is on the website, and that's most of the stuff I've tested is not on the website, actually. So, although there are 98 articles there, I have orders of magnitude more tests. The FNX 45 Tactical is a hammer-fired FN gun. It's modern and it's available for most consumers. Comes ready out of the box with optics capability. It's just a great consumer, high quality 45 pistol host for silencer. I think it's a great choice for the standard. Now I will say this, the other weapons you mentioned, sir, ma'am, I do have the HK host weapons on order to the inventory for some research studies. That USP 45 Tactical and the Mark 23, I have those on order from HK. I will be testing with those, and I will be happy to compare those with the FNX 45 Tactical, but the host will be the FNX 45. So silencer companies, if you're listening, if you're looking to develop a 45 caliber silencer for testing at PEW Science, you can use the FNX 45 Tactical in confidence. Okay, if you're getting ready to submit your product for performance evaluation to PEW Science and you're working on a 45 pistol silencer, you can use the FNX 45 Tactical. I'm telling you that right now. So go start, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Okay. I know no one wants to be the first one. Hey, GSL did. GSL wanted to be the first one with the MP5. They rocked it. Yeah, and they knew they knew they were going to rock it, right? So that's why they went first. They were like, we want to be first. I'm like, let's do it. You can be first. And I just got the MP5 and let's do it. I don't know who's going to be the first one for 45. We'll see. Hey, man, sometimes you got to take the plunge. Yeah, again, I'm choosing the FNX 45 for data utility and market proliferation and availability of the pistol. Okay. Also, HK already has the P30L in the standard, so got to change it up. Okay. Hope that helps. Trying to be as transparent as I can. Okay, global question 304, local question 13. Given the lower pressure, maybe OSS cans perform worse on longer barrels? That's an interesting technical question. 1 second. Oh, man, a lot of nuance in your question, sir, ma'am. Let's be careful how we talk about this answer. It's definitely a possibility I've thought of. You have to define your terms you've used. You say worse. Yeah, so I've thought about this because, and what you're alluding to, you're saying because, due to the lower uncorking pressure with a longer barrel, you're thinking the performance will change. So now let's put this in context. Your overall pressure is dropping. Okay? Your overall muscle pressure is dropping. Now, with the OSS silencers, and you are clearly either a PEW Science member or a astute follower of my work, you are postulating, could efficiency drop with the OSS design? It could, sir, ma'am. Possibly it could. Now, what about the total result, though? You see, what are you doing? Well, you're starting off with less severe input to the silencer to begin with, aren't you? So keep that in mind, too. It's not like you're dropping pressure as low as you are with subsonic use, right? And your duration is still longer, right? Remember, there's two knobs to turn here, pressure and duration. Remember, you got two dimensions. You have two dimensions on your on the curves, right? You have a vertical axis and an x-axis. What's on the x-axis? Time. Remember, don't forget about time. We're forgetting about time. Okay, so it's not like we're changing from super to sub here, are we? It's more like you're changing from super to less severe, but still severe super. That makes sense. You see, so you're still in the supersonic projectile regime. You're still in a high pressure, longer duration combustion regime, aren't you? Right? Because what does it take to get a projectile moving supersonic? Longer combustion duration. Right? Why do you? Real quick before I go on answering this question, you guys know, like, whenever you lengthen your gun barrel, what happens? You usually get higher velocity, right? But why is that? Well, you say, well, Jay, we already know. You've already told us why. It's because you have a longer push distance. You're able to accelerate the projectile for a longer time. You're imparting more momentum to it, and therefore the bullet's going to fly longer. Well, yes, you're right, but why? How are you able to do that? What is the physical reason? Why are you able to push for longer? Well, because you have a longer combustion duration. You cannot increase the velocity significantly in a longer barrel without enough combustion. It's not the barrel that's making it move faster. It's the amount of time it's subject to combustion. So if your combustion dribbles out too quick, the longer barrel is not going to do a dang thing to you, is it? Okay? You understand? So this is why the super and sub thing needs to you really need to think about this. So I hope that helps you. Now, for folks that want to understand more about why this lady or gentleman is actually super smart. So for the folks that want to understand more about why this lady or gentleman asked this question, you are encouraged to read the sound signature reviews on the OSS silencers, specifically the HK416. Okay? That was tested on both 308 and 300 blackout subsonic. Read the 300 blackout subsonic review, and you'll learn what this person did when they read it. You'll learn. And then listen to this answer again, and it's all going to make sense to you, okay? And if it doesn't, shoot me an email. We'll talk about it. Okay, cool. Don't be afraid of asking questions. It's important to ask questions. There are no dumb questions. Okay, global question 305, local question 14. Do you think you'll add an FRP rating, first round pop rating, would be super useful for hunters picking cans? Man, you guys are getting too smart. Yeah, man, I've talked about it. I want to do it, and I know I definitely can do it. But I'm actually investigating the reliability of such a metric, if that makes sense. I want to make sure it's meaningful. I want to make sure it's useful. And I don't want to mislead people. Okay? A lot of thought went into how to make the suppression rating viable. Okay? And I've seen, oh my God, if you guys have, this is just an aside, if you guys have not been on ARFCOM lately in the silencer subforum, you might not even want to go there. It's a disaster right now in there. Like there are threads in there that are, I don't know what people are smoking, but I went into one of those threads and I saw someone saying something about PEW Science just as an aside about like, well, I really like the data, it just as long as you realize that the suppression rating is subjective. And I'm like, you don't know what the word subjective means, do you? The suppression rating is most certainly not subjective, dude. It is the most objective silencer metric that you can have. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard anyone say. I was like, are you out of your mind? Subjective? Oh, you mean because because it's a complicated algorithm and you don't know how to compute it. Oh, so it's subjective all of a sudden? Dude, you got to use a dictionary, dude. You're using words that you don't understand what the words mean. You can't just say words. And just because you can say a word does not mean you know what the word means. That's a lunacy to say something like that. If it was subjective, I wouldn't be doing this. That would be crazy. Could you imagine? Oh yeah, let me just lick my finger, pull it up to the wind. That's a 41. Oh, it's subjective. No, dude, that would mean it didn't mean anything. Crazy, man. No, suppression rating is objective. And if I make a FRP rating, it will also be objective. Why is it objective? Because it's tied to an objective quantity and dose limit, dude. If it wasn't objective, how could I give a dose limit to it? Like, you're not thinking about what the word subjective means. So this question, sir, ma'am, you asking about an FRP rating. If I do it, it's going to be objective, just like the suppression rating. But it would be tied to the suppression rating, and it would go along with it in each review. We can always add one. We have the data. We can always add it. You can with the ranking section. It's easy to catalog stuff. I'm telling you, if I formulate an FRP metric, I have to go back. I got to compute it for every test report, and then I really got to dig into the data to understand what it's going to mean on a large scale. That type of thing can be. Look, I want to make sure it's useful. It actually might be something we do in 2023. It would be a huge addition to the Silencer Sound standard. Right now, first round pop is baked in. It is integral to the suppression rating in the algorithm. And I like the way we're doing it. It might really change some things on a large scale if we do something like this. I want to make sure we approach something like this responsibly. I think that's the main takeaway in the answer to this question. The main thing I want you to take away from this, in my answer to you, sir or ma'am, is that I want to make sure we do it responsibly. If we do it, okay? Our management of change, to use a buzzword there, needs to be thought about. We can't just throw something out and then you got to understand the implications of this. I mean, if you thought me releasing the suppression rating was controversial, just wait. If I create and release an FRP rating, just wait and see what will happen. If you think people want to kill me now, oh my God, dude, it would literally be chaos. Now it'd be awesome. I'm totally here for chaos. What? You think I shy away from controversy? I'm literally doing something no one's ever done, and and for you, the listener in the community, and for myself to get the data. So I'm obviously not averse to doing something radical. It's just that this is that would be really crazy. So 1 second. I'm sure you understand the gravity involved. I think that's all I mean, and right now I'm kind of speculating in that. I can only speculate about what it would do. To really answer the question about whether or not I see this as viable, I have to make the metric and then compute it for every test, catalog it, see where it lies, and see what I think people can glean from it. And if it ends up being useful, and if it ends up reflecting what I feel would be useful to an end user, then I think I would do it. If I do that and I see more opportunities for confusion and less utility than not, then I would not do it. You see what I mean? Because this is a mass scale issue. This is no longer buddies hanging out, or it never was. It never was buddies hanging out, tossing data around a table, drinking beers. This is now a gigantic public effort, so we have to be very responsible in what we do. Okay. Okay. I am not only becoming more congested, but I'm losing my voice, so we are going to do one more. Global question 306, local question 15. We're going to get through this. Why can you probably not tune away gassiness with a high back pressure silencer? Oh man, of all the questions to end on, one that I have to really go in depth about. 1 second. Sir, ma'am, it's because of the dimension of time. If you keep the weapon locked forever, you're good. Okay? You're good, dude. If you keep the weapon locked forever, you're good, right? Bolt action, right? Start there. But you don't keep the weapon locked forever, do you? You don't. So what happens when you restrict the flow through the bore? What happens? Think about it. Walk through it. You can keep the bolt from unlocking way too early. Like, you don't want your bolt to unlock early because of increased impulse. What do? Put a stronger spring in it. Put a heavier buffer in it. Adjust the gas block on your direct impingement or piston gun so that you send less impulse to the carrier so you unlock later in time. Those are 3 methods. 3 methods to tune an AR. To unlock a little later. Cool. You're delaying unlock. Cool. Awesome. Super. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Figure it out. You can always delay unlock. MP5. Whatever. Cool. Roller delayed blowback. Okay. Delay. It helps. Delay helps. It helps with both the sound signature and the excessive gas pressure differential, doesn't it? Why do I say gas pressure differential? Gas pressure differential between the chamber and the atmosphere. Why would I say that? Well, pressure differential is what causes gas jet. You reduce the pressure differential, reduce the jetting. Okay? We're not talking about early time shock physics here. We're talking about pressure differential. Okay? In early time, yeah, you're going to have, in addition to pressure differential, you're going to have a sudden release of gas with a shock wave. You know, that's happening too, but we're going further in the time regime now, aren't we? Talking about continuous pressure differential. You're collecting combustion byproducts, though. There's a problem with you doing this, and you're doing it again and again and again and again and again. I mean, how many rounds are you going to shoot? Okay, when you shoot 5 rounds, you shoot 10 rounds. I don't know. Hey, I got some data for you. Look at the impulse waveforms measured at the shooter's ear. If you're a PEW Science member, you have access to those. Look at the impulse waveforms measured at the shooter, not the pressure waveforms. Look at the impulse. Look at the impulse measured at the shooter's ear on an AR-15 test. Okay, look at the Mark 18 test data. Look at one of the more restrictive silencers, like a polonium or a turbo or a Saker. Go look at those. Same gun, right? Same gun. Look at all the silencers. Flow rate's the main variable. What do you see? Yeah, I think you're getting elevated gas temperature. Elevated gas temperature, lack of flow rate. You keep packing in gas every shot. You're starting to overwhelm the system. I'm not mag dumping. I'm not mag dumping with those tests, guys. I'm firing at a steady cadence. I'm not waiting like a minute between each shot. You know what I mean? So imagine you shoot 10 shots. You shoot 30 shots. Now try that with a high flow rate silencer. Instead, what's going to happen? Well, if you have take a flow, take a HXQD 556, take a vented Helios QD, take a Sandman K, whatever. Maybe Sandman K is not the best example for this, but whatever. What are those silencers going to do? Well, they're going to allow the blowdown to occur very quickly, aren't they? Now, what do we know about gun barrels? Well, they're still going to heat up from the combustion. We all know as you shoot a gun, the gun barrel heats up. But what happens when a silencer's on a gun barrel? It's going to hold a lot of heat. Now, with a high flow rate silencer, you're going to evacuate the bore with each shot. Different world. You're never going to be able to get around that. You can't get around high flow rate. In order to evacuate a bore, you can't. You need to have flow increase. You can't stagnate pressure and expect gas not to come out of the barrel breech. Okay? You can't. And if you could, and gas toxicity wasn't a problem just by tuning a gun, SIG and OSS and all these companies, they wouldn't have entire product lines dedicated to high flow rate, dude. Like that's not because they woke up one day and thought it was that's military driven requirements. People that shoot more and get cancer. Like that's okay. Like this isn't hobby stuff, dude. This isn't like, oh, we thought it might be a good idea to reduce the amount of toxicity coming out of the breach of the weapon. No. It is in fact a real health problem. So that's why people are doing that. And if you think that you can do it just by changing the gun, then you need to go to the gun manufacturers and tell them something that nobody knows, because no one has figured that out yet. So you might be smarter than SIG. You might be smarter than, I don't know, Knight's Armament. But you're probably not as experienced in firearm design as them. And I'm not talking down to you. I'm just saying you might have less experience than those companies when you're tuning your gun. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't tune your gun, because tuning an AR for suppressed use is very smart. But you will not achieve the same ejection port gas toxicity with tuning an AR than you will from using a high flow rate silencer on the same weapon. You will not. Okay? This is proven empirically with gas concentration measurement. It doesn't matter what you think you smelled and how good or bad the air tasted after you magged them to the trash. Okay? Not saying not to tune your guns. I'm just saying be realistic. Okay. I'm going to highlight that row. Thank you for the question, sir, ma'am. I'm going to highlight that row. I'm going to highlight it yellow, as we tend to do. That's great, man. We're already in the 300s. We only have like a billion to go. Cool. I'm going to save that. I'm going to close the spreadsheet. And we are done with that topic. Okay. We're going to move into topic 3 at a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 14 seconds. Okay. Topic 3, third and final topic for today. PEW Science has wrapped up testing for 2022, and there are a lot of exciting stuff going on. Coming in the new year, and have been continuing analysis and research. You guys have been supporting it. It's been great, and I'm spent. I'm spent, guys. It's definitely holiday time. I'm done. We've actually been wrapped up with field testing for this year for a couple months now. I haven't been out in the field testing for a couple months. I've been so backed up with analysis and engineering work here in the PEW Science laboratory. Pretty big backlog still. We're moving into 2023 with some neat test programs that are on the books, which is I'm super excited about. Going to certainly be interesting. The first part of 2023, there's some heavy hitters coming into play. I think I might do one more publication this year. I don't know. Not this week though. I know you guys are probably thinking that something's coming this week, but there's not. I was sick for a week. I don't have time to get one out this week, so probably next week before I go away for the holidays. Yeah. So stay tuned for that next week. I think if I don't release something next week, it's going to be January. So, yeah, but for real though, the pace at which I have been publishing is insane. I don't think anyone else has published this much silencer data in the history of the world. So, let alone in the time span of what I've done. So, put that in perspective for you there. I think 2022, this has got to be. I didn't take any breaks with this podcast or publications. Like, just look at the history. It's crazy, right? Like, I think this is, and thank you to all of you for supporting me. I wouldn't have done it without you. I mean, you guys have fueled it. It has been an incredibly productive year at PEW Science. I think we've really, really set the bar of what the public should expect what the firearm industry should expect for silencer performance evaluation. I think I've set the bar pretty high. I'm proud of what we've done here together, and I think I'm going to continue it again for another year or 12. Okay, so it is all because of you guys. And speaking of you know what? I just remembered. Speaking of thanks, big thanks to Andrew at Otter Creek Labs. He I couldn't believe it. I got a package from him yesterday. He gave me an HK MP5 SD silencer. It's an original, legit old LEO trade-in, made in Germany. He got it somewhere for cheap or something, and he was going to use it on a build, and he decided not to, and he gave it to me. It's original, man. Old school MP5 SD silencer. I'm totally going to restore it. Put it on one of my SP5s after I get one converted to an SD. It'll be a dream. So absolutely, it's sitting in my inventory now. Big shout out to Andrew for that. Totally unexpected. That's a huge deal. So I just thought I was tickled. I shared a story post about that on social media. I just thought that was really nice. So thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. So thank you to all of you again. I do plan on at least one more podcast this year. But if I don't, we're in December. If I don't do another podcast this year, please have a Merry Christmas. Please spend it with your loved ones and reflect upon all the blessings you have and have had throughout the year. If you are not able to spend that glorious time with your loved ones, please try to make the best of it wherever you are in the world. I hope you can find somewhere safe to spend it. If you're in a part of the world that's not safe, I will talk with you folks again soon. Okay, bye.